The second that shit popped up on screen, I was exactly like this.
Man, I'm through.
I was just wondering because
I'm through.
I was so mad. I don't. You gotta be fucking kidding me. What the fuck are you doing? What is happening here? I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, did I fall into a coma? Now it's time to go ahead and slide into what everybody's favorite segment of this show is, the amazing Killmonger Corner.
Oh my god!
Now with obviously we took a week off last week because you're like, you know what? We talked about Hunter x Hunter. We've talked about Cowboy Bebop. We've talked about Dead Leaves. We talked about a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So he's like, you know what? We can go ahead and rein it back to maybe come back to the Japanese side with a little bit of an American flair added to it, some American spice thrown in there. And recently we had the release of a crossover of sorts, an amalgam of cultures. We had the infamous Batman, the man that says himself is he's the man that built DC, and I wouldn't be mad at saying that either because Superman's kind of whack now. I don't fuck with him anymore. Whack. Yeah, but. With Mr. Batman, he went ahead and decided to travel to Japan and hang out with a lot of, great animators and directors and people that, have done some great things in anime and over there in the Japan movieverse. And they said, you know what, we got to cross these. We got to take Mr. Batman and we got to take anime and we got to put them together. And hopefully we'll get a nice, tasty sushi roll or some nice miso soup with Batman in it.
Bring in the weebs,
and everybody will love it. And we'll bring in the Batman crowd. We'll bring in the weebs. We'll bring in everybody that loves anime. It'll be great, and everything will go down great. Now, people, if you don't know about this, here's just a quick trailer of Batman Ninja coming straight from Japan to your either PS4, your Xbox One, or just your computer. You can watch it on digital.
Lord Batman.
Now what? So there you go, people. Go. Maybe if you want to go and check out Batman Ninja, get it on digital, get it on Blu-ray. But we'll give you our opinions on it. Being a solid Batman fan, I was thoroughly looking forward to this. I grew up, I'm not gonna say no. Fuck it, I'll say it. Idolizing Batman. I was like, he's got a lot of cool things. He got some cool gadgets. But the dopest thing is he's human. He's a normal guy that just happens to be a billionaire. I know that's not really normal, but he's a normal ass billionaire that manages to hang out with superheroes and still come out on top. I've always been a ride or die Batman fan since day one. Your boy right here with the struggle costume for Halloween. That's me. And so long ago, I think it was 4 or 5 right there. As you can see, Halloween's were a little rough.
You got that moment went to Ross.
Oh yeah. Actually, here's a Batman shirt. Here's a long sleeve shirt. And you Batman. You black man. You was
Black
about.
man.
And you got that mask.
We ain't no billionaires.
No. You got that mask that you're gonna keep sticking your tongue through the little slit and cutting it because you can't help it because you're like, I gotta. Ow. I gotta do it again. Ow. With DC and its world, obviously we know that they're going through certain struggles in the live action verse, and they've not really been doing Batman well, especially since Ben Affleck has picked up the mantle. And I can understand where people will come across saying, I don't like Batman that exists now. But you, my friend, say you're not a big fan of Batman?
I've never understood why everyone
adores him.
Fucking jerks him off, basically.
DC usually with their animation side is okay. Like they know what they're doing. They get great voice actors. They take care of their animations. But we've had some struggle ones. One in particular that always comes to mind for not being that great, which came out recently, was Gotham by Gaslight. This one was interesting, and keep in mind, it had a great premise. Batman's trying to hunt down Jack the Ripper and figure out what's going on there and all that cool stuff. And then that movie, it veered away from what it was in the comics, and the ending of that is guaranteed to piss you off. I don't know. Keep in mind, anybody that knows Batman, anybody that just even heard the name Batman knows who his enemy is, who's his arch villain.
The Joker.
The Joker. Now, in Gotham by Gaslight, and sorry if you wanted to see that or spoiler. But in Gotham by Gaslight, in the comic, Jack the Ripper ends up being the Joker. So obviously, like, that's smart. It's cookie cutter, but it makes sense.
It fucking sucks.
It makes sense. Now, in Gotham by Gaslight, it's Commissioner Gordon, and it's not done well. It is okay. It is fumbles. Not keep in mind, that could have been dope. You'd be like, yo, the guy that's trying to solve these crimes with Batman is the one that's committing the crimes. That's amazing. This is some Kaiser Soze shit. But in Gotham by Gaslight, it's just like, surprise, it's me. You're just like,
okay, I'll give you that.
Homie, yo, what the fuck is going on here? So it was a mess. Okay. But DC, again, has had some decent movies. You got this one right here, Justice League War, I believe. Justice League War is great. This is what the Justice League movie should have been.
All of the characters are done so well in this. I love that.
Some of the characters that don't even really get a lot of shine in movies, they got a bunch of shine in this movie. What
this movie was in the perspective primarily of Green Lantern, who really doesn't get that much shine either.
You also had Assault on Arkham, which I liked, which somehow turned into this. I don't know what the fuck. This. I'm gonna let y'all stare at this and get mad for a few moments. We had the Suicide Squad live action release, which was a fucking disaster, and it came out after Assault on Arkham, and it was like all you had to do was copy that Assault on Arkham beat for beat, and you would have had a great Suicide Squad movie. Other DC movies, animated movies I enjoy specifically. I like Justice League Doom, Batman, basically his shit getting out and everybody, the Justice League falling apart because Batman was doing his due diligence. And then one of my favorite DC animated movies was Justice League Dark. And it was just a fun and interesting film, and it showed the quote unquote dark side of the superhero verse. Now we can go ahead and jump into Batman Ninja.
Oh my god.
Y'all, this movie here. Quick synopsis for you guys. Batman is fighting Batman and his crew. So you got Batman, Robin, Red Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood. They are going into Arkham Asylum, present day Arkham Asylum, to stop Gorilla Grodd from using some kind of machine, and he's gathered all the big villains of Gotham in Arkham Asylum. So I don't know how you managed to convince all these villains to come back to a place where they keep getting arrested and taken to jail too and suffering, but Grodd somehow found a way to do it. He got the Penguin, he got Two-Face, he got Poison Ivy, he got Bane, he got I feel like I'm Deathstroke, and then of course he got the Joker to all meet him at Arkham Asylum and say, "Yo, I got this dope thing, let's do this." And then Batman comes with his crew and tries to stop him, including Catwoman. And they try to stop him, and it's a time machine, and it sends everybody in that time and date back to feudal Japan. And in this, while they're in feudal Japan, it's weird. Batman pops up seemingly 2 years later.
Yeah, he pops up later than everybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Thor got to that planet in Thor Ragnarok like weeks after Loki did. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it doesn't make sense because they all get teleported at the same time, as opposed to when Loki was taken, he went out of the Bifrost a little earlier. So, all right, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. It's time travel. It already doesn't make sense, but I'll roll with it. Now, this movie, it just manages to keep outdoing itself with how outlandish it gets. I can't even begin to tell you how, again, no pun intended, how batshit insane this movie goes. Keep in mind, when we saw these trailers, we were like, all right, it kind of makes sense. Like, he'll have the bat plane and all these other things. Maybe the Batmobile gets teleported with him, which it does. But it showed more all right, Batman is a samurai fighting the Joker, who is a feudal lord at the time. And it looks like it could be cool and something interesting. What this movie doesn't show you, or this trailer doesn't show you, is that this movie goes off the goddamn rails in like a matter of minutes. Now, with this movie, I will talk. I will say the thing that had me asking questions first. It wasn't the time travel. It wasn't all these characters popping up in feudal Japan and all these other crazy things. It was the level of just weird shit that's happening. Now, the Batmobile gets teleported back into the past with them. I'm fine with that. The Batmobile is there. It's whatever. Now, I've seen, and I think everyone here has seen, the Batmobile do a whole bunch of crazy things that really don't make any sense, but even in the live action movies, but we don't question it. The Batmobile somehow manages to be the Batmobile, and then something happens to it, and it turns into the Bat Plane, and then something happens to the Bat Plane, and it turns into the Bat Cycle, and then something happens to the Bat Cycle, and then it turns into the armored Bat unit machine, and it just wraps itself around Batman, and now he's fighting a character as a fucking mini Megazord, and you're just like, okay, I have questions.
Hold up. Can I preface this by saying, can we divide up the non-spoily parts?
Yes, that's why I'm tiptoeing around certain things, because that's why I said something happened to the Batmobile. I'm not saying what it was.
Yeah. Okay. Let me tell y'all guys, I've seen a lot of anime, all right? And I still think that I could not have called any of the shit that was going to happen in this.
And keep in mind, these trailers don't not show you shit. They don't show you anything that has to do with the stuff that happens in this film. This just manages to keep going off the cliff and then turns into a submarine and then deep dives and then it turns into a drill and drills through the earth. Then it turns into a spaceship and flies out. So you're just like, all right, let's just keep this moving. With Batman Ninja, there are things that I liked. I think the animation style, when it first started off, it was a little jarring when you're in the present day because it was really dark, so you really couldn't see what was going on. So I was kind of struggling to follow it, and the frame rate seemed a little iffy at the beginning. But once you get into the part where he's in feudal Japan, a lot of the stuff is done in daytime. So it's like, all right, it looks good. I can see what's going on. The animation, the whole kind of cell-shaded 2D, 3D computer animation thing, it looked really cool.
Yeah, no, that's what I really wanted to know your opinion on, because I was with you at the start. I was like, okay, I kind of see the promise of this animation style. But once they started to get to more of the fluid, kinetic action scenes, I was like, yo, this is really, really dope. It switches styles. And you'll never know when it does, because there's an entire section where it does it in Japanese watercolor, and you're like, whoa. Like, it just comes out of nowhere, and it leaves after that scene, and they just do it to do it.
And then we can jump into the characters. They're portrayed pseudo-similar to how they usually are. Catwoman's still, walking around being sexy, but in this one, she's a little goofier, I would say.
She's goofier. I like her outfit design. She's looking fine. Outfit design. No, but Catwoman's pretty much the same. I think that pretty much everyone just got a little they're like, hold up, let's add some anime in there. Yeah, and that's kind of how it. Like Poison Ivy got the most animated out of anybody. She looks like a character from Blaze Blue. Like,
yeah. I was like, what's going on here? So yeah, they get all the villains get an anime update. Obviously, you saw the Joker, who has his whole I'm a creepy feudal lord. It's basically a crazy kabuki clown thing going on, which it looks okay.
I really like his design. His is I think that in terms of Joker designs, I think this is one of the most interesting ones we've seen in a minute.
Now with how the characters acted,
oh no,
it was really weird. The Joker, who was the villain we spent the most time with, grating. Keep in mind, we've seen all kinds of iterations of the Joker. Obviously, we had the Pinnacle with Mark Hamill, and I'm just going to stick to the animated ones. We had the Pinnacle with Mark Hamill. We had the Joe DiMaggio one. We've had the version that's from all the different kinds. We've had the
Black Joker,
the
Batman.
Yeah, we've had the future Joker. We've seen all kinds of crazy different Jokers. But this one, done by Tony Hale, not fun. Bad, terrible jokes. Not even like Joker tells a lot of bad jokes, but they're the way he says them is supposed to be funny. These are just a bunch of bad jokes, and he's not the only one telling jokes in this movie. Catwoman's telling jokes. Batman is telling jokes. Alfred is telling jokes. All the Robins are telling jokes, and they are bad. I think only 10% of them hit.
This is one of the situations where, after watching the Japanese version, I understood kind of why. So there's a script change, and a lot of the jokes that were intentionally for, like, the Japanese audience didn't translate over. So the two writers had to pretty much rework this entire script into suiting like American audiences. But honestly speaking, the delivery and the execution in the Japanese version just made those jokes better, if that makes sense.
I can understand that, and usually I would say, all right, that's fair, but it's Batman. It's like I feel like you should, and I know this is all done by a Japanese audience and Japanese script writers and Japanese everything, and they just ported it over to the American side. But I feel like it's Batman. There's money there. They could have gone to, all right, we can punch up these jokes. We can do better with this. But it kind of seemed like they just rushed this to market, and they didn't do that.
My only argument against you is that I don't like it's a Batman, so it should be for an American audience. The reason why they sent it to a Japanese studio so it can be done with the Japanese style. That is why Warner Brothers sent it there.
I dig that. I understand that, but I'm just saying, if you're going to do a Batman property, or if you're going to do a property that has a fan base, and you're going to do that in a different style, if you're going to port it over into English, like if they just only release the Japanese versions with subtitles, I'm like, all right, this is great, it makes sense.
Yeah,
but if you're going to do the English version, you have to fix it.
I'm not disagreeing there at all. That was something that I was like, because I went back and I watched scenes from the Japanese version. I was like, okay, I see what, because this is not a spoiler scene. Like there is a moment with T. Where Alfred is giving tea before the big fight. Yeah. And the translation was totally different. It was night and day. Like, they made some whack-ass joke. In the English one, but in the Japanese one, it was actually a much more well-constructed, like, simple joke. And it made it so much better.
Now we can get into the stuff. I think we've said enough good things about this movie. No.
I still got good.
Go say your piece, because we're about to jump into the shit that irked the fuck out of me, and then we're going to minor spoilers, because you got to see this shit to believe it.
Oh yeah, you got to.
But say more good things.
I still have more good things. I honestly think that in terms of imagination and I think that was really cool for them to even do this. I thought they kept true to a lot of Japanese traditions and a lot of Japanese art styles. I cannot articulate enough how much the art just blew my mind, and certain tropes that they do, like a lot of things that might not make sense to you that you might complain about. I think that are a lot of Japanese traditional things as to why they're there. So that's kind of why, there are animals in this, and look on your way.
No, go finish what you gotta say.
And some of the animals have a lot of ties into Japanese mythology, and so I had an appreciation that they were willing to go all the way back with that. Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, thank you. Enough of your nonsense. But now here we go. So I'll start off with the animal thing. I think
No.
I think if this wasn't trying to go for a serious tone, the animal thing could have worked. I think even if it was like a serious tone, it could have been done better. Because keep in mind, they're saying that Joker is trying to take over Japan, alter history, and basically just like rule the world. And so you're like, all right, and keep in mind they're also still going from a part where it's still supposed to be grounded in real life. I know there's still goofy things in here like Gorilla Grodd and things like that, and Poison Ivy. But those are things like you kind of just suspend your disbelief in it and just saying, all right, I'm along for the ride. Keep in mind, I said I thoroughly enjoyed Justice League Dark, and that's full of magic and crazy stuff happening. But when it happens in here, it just comes out of nowhere. Like, you're like, with Justice League Dark, it preps you. It's like, no, this is a world that has demons and magic and all this other thing, and you just got to roll with it. Robin shows up with a monkey that talks, and Robin understands. He just sits on his shoulder the whole time.
And the explanation is he found a monkey. He can talk to it for some reason.
This monkey is here, and I understand it. He goes, hey, I understand everything he's saying. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then you get bats in here that somehow manage to work together with the Bat team and all the Robins that are like, oh, we got you, Batman. Bat Squad coming in through.
Yo, time out. The bats, I was like, That shit caught me so off guard. I couldn't even articulate because if you think the monkeys come out the blue, you do not understand. The bats can do anything. The bats are like vibranium.
The bats in here are ridiculous, and it just turns into chaos at some points, and then you're just like, what's going on here? And then they introduce like crazy shit that's happening. Gorilla Grodd has a monkey team that works. I mean, it's like, I dig it. Like, with Gorilla Grodd is like, all right, he's a primate, so it's like, all right, I understand. Like, he has the monkey squad, but then they start doing shit. Then it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? People, I don't want to show you this scene just yet because there's one more thing I got to talk about before we get into this scene. The last thing outside of the animals being ridiculous. Japan, you need to be put on punishment because y'all can't help y'all fuck yourselves when it comes to robots. The temple, there's a castle that turns into a robot in this movie, and the Joker has somehow built this shit in 2 years. Keep in mind, back then, it would just take 2 years to build a castle. This motherfucker built a robot castle in 2 years. And you're just like, all right, and it's all seems to be powered by coal, not electricity, not anything that like makes sense. It's coal powered. So you're just like, all right, and it's done by a series of levers and pulleys, and it's like, all right, what are you going for, Japan? Like, this isn't Gundam, this isn't the Power Rangers, which that again is.
Oh my god, they do a Power Rangers part, and you'll see it and you'll know what we mean.
You'll see it, I promise you. And they just lose their shit, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, yo, and that's what happens to the Batmobile. The Batmobile gets crushed, and this is in the first 10 minutes of the movie. The Batmobile gets crushed. The Batmobile gets crushed by the Joker castle. And you're like, all right. And then the bat wing comes out. Then that gets slapped out of there. I assume he gets pierced by the Joker's hand. Then he turns into the Bat Pod or the Bat Cycle. And then it turns into the Armored Knight. And he's like, this is fucking ridiculous. But the scene I'm talking about, that it was like, all right. This scene here, and I think this is the culmination of everything I hated in this fucking movie. This scene has goofy magic. It has giant robots. It has the bats and the monkeys, and just a bunch of weird Japanese stuff happening. People, I'm sorry. This is the last 20 to 15 minutes of this film. Spoiler ahead of time, just so you know.
Spoilers starting now.
Spoilers starting now. This is retarded. And I'm sorry for using that word, but I don't feel like there's another way to say it. This is fucking stupid. This is bad. Without further ado, here is the climax, or the penultimate climax of this film.
Those are monkeys, by the way.
Yeah, those are monkeys. There's the Megazord. That's all the
feudal lords have fused together.
The feudal lords have fused together. You got the Joker's head on top. You also have Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Penguin, and Deathstroke. They made a Joker Megazord. Now, right now you're thinking, well, what can be happening? Like, maybe the bats are just going to come in and hit the Joker, and that's it.
No,
it's way crazier. They decide to go ahead and form the bat signal. You're like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then they do this.
That's completely made out of bats.
It's all bats, y'all. This
bats and monkeys.
Bats and monkeys and people, because there's people in his hand. So you have the Bat God, the Super Sentai Batman, fighting the Megazord at the end of this movie. And I'll let y'all know, the second that shit popped up on screen, I was exactly like this.
Man, I'm through.
I was just wondering because
I'm through.
I was so mad. You gotta be fucking kidding me. What the fuck are you doing? What is happening here? I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, did I fall into a coma and then wake up at this part of the movie?
I don't like. This is one of those instances where I say you need to watch a little more anime and be able to check out when you know you need. Because I said at 58 minutes, At 58 minutes is when I know I watched this shit is when they kick in the giant robots. Once that started, my head tuned out. I was done. I was mentally like, anything that happens now is just bonus points.
I was done, man. I was so done. I was like, I am through. I can't. Even like, there's a decent fight scene at the end of this movie between the Joker and Batman and the samurai thing.
They magicked their way out of that.
Yeah, they somehow. Okay, first of all, somehow God's holding them and closes his fist and punches the Joker, and no one's hurt. And then Batman. Yeah, Batman gets his Naruto on.
Gets his Naruto on.
And then, and like he's bursting into bats. This shit, y'all gotta see this shit to believe it. But he turns into bats multiple times. So like how Naruto turns into a log or whatever, he bursts into bats. And then they continue the samurai fight, and then he knocks Joker back into the future. And then it's just goofy shit happens from then on out. And I was just like, yo, man, like, y'all, why would you do this? This makes no sense. How is this happening? Why is this happening? I feel like Drax. What is this happening?
Yeah, what is this happening?
Yeah, I was like, yo, when is this happening? What's going on here? And I was just done. I was like, this is befuddling. This is ridiculous. This is it pissed me off. And this shit made me so mad. It made me temporarily hate Batman. It was like, how dare you make me hate Batman? Like, I love Batman. Batman is the shit. And you are making me not ever want to see anything ever done with Batman for a while. Keep in mind, I watched this yesterday. So the Batman hates wearing off because like, all right, he's still got the Dark Knight. He's still got Batman Returns. He's still got all this other stuff I love. But this was rough. This was really rough. And it's chaos. It really turns into chaos. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get into my rating for this. This is the most ridiculous, some old batshit bullshit ass, crazy ass animation shit that I have. This is some old bullshit. There are some great things in here, like I said. The animation is cool. The character design is cool. Some of the fight scenes are really cool. But
I think all the fight scenes are cool.
This, not that Sentai Batman.
Whoa! I meant like
that's a fight scene.
I said what? I don't mean to interrupt. But it's like one of my biggest like wishes was that they had more one-on-ones because all the one-on-ones were cool.
Yeah, the one-on-ones were great, but when they turned it, when it's like giant robots fighting each other and like it's some whack shit. That shit. It's some of the writing in here is terrible, and apparently it's from the translation over the port over, but that's still part of the movie that I watched, and that's what I was presented, and that's how I'm going to have to judge this film. So yes, this is a some old bullshit. I do recommend you finding a way to watch this shit and like not tell people like what comes up, especially if they're Batman fans. They're gonna be like, this isn't Batman. What is this? What is this nonsense? That's what you're going to get from them. Yes, this is a some old bullshit to the max. This was verging on a fuck you if it didn't have some of that stuff that I liked in here. But yeah, man, that I paid $5 to rent this shit, and I'm mad. I feel like I could have went out and bought a McDonald's meal. I could have went out and used that $5 for something. Like I could have stole from Redbox. I could have done something, but no. This movie is a somewhat bullshit through and through. But I do recommend that you watch this because y'all know how much I love bad shit, and this is some bad shit. Go ahead, man.
Man, we are on opposite ends of the spectrum because I love this shit.
Oh, my heart, my soul.
This shit was great. I'm not saying it's a good movie. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I loved every second of this because there was a moment where I literally was just dying laughing. I dropped because I was watching it on my phone and I watched it for free. Because no. Because no. But I watched it for free. I was dying laughing. It was just so insane. Mm-hmm. So fucking out of the realm of what I thought it was going to be. And they did the one thing I will admittedly say. If there's one thing I hate more than anything is when you cram in robots to shit. And they found a way to cram in robots to this thing, and I was pissed. But besides that, if I can look at the positive things I like, I cannot understate. I really love that artistic design because they put a lot of time and effort into it, and they made something that I was with you, that I thought was going to be ugly, and they made it look great, and they made it look cool. On top of that, I don't think I've had this much fun watching a piece of Batman film since the Justice League War. In terms of like in Justice League War, I love the writing, I love the animation, I love the story. I was just being a DC fan all the way. In this, I was just having a good time and actually enjoying Batman not being Batman. So it was pretty great because as a person who doesn't give a fuck about Batman, this made me kind of give a fuck about Batman. And it did a lot of anime shit, so that should just added bonus points. I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm saying you have to watch it to understand what the fuck happens. And it gets crazier and crazier and crazier.
What's your rating, man? You pissing me off.
I'm actually I'm thinking a nice high rental.
There's just one rating over me. I thought you were about to say some full price of a
Negro, please. I ain't foolish.
Yeah, you was like, oh man, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. Bitch, one level up. You went from a D. I gave it a D. You gave it a C.
Nigga, I'm passing, you failing. I'm right, all right?
A D is not a failing grade.
A D is a failing grade.
Not when I was in high school.
It was a failing in my... Not the point. Point of the matter is, we both agree that you have to see this shit because there's some... I think Red Hood physically assaulted, and they don't bring it up again.
Yeah, Red Hood beat the shit out of some farmers, and it wasn't cool. It wasn't a good look for anybody. The Bat family came out looking like terrorists in this movie.
Fucking... What is it? Nightwing looks like Sasuke? I mean, there's just a lot going on.
It's a lot of shit happening in this movie, people. That's why I'm very happy to go ahead and jump into our... Let me check and see if we got emails so I can go ahead and get rid of this shit because I'm still looking at Batman shit on my screen right now.
It's the best, guys.
Fuck off.
Don't let it get you mad. It's so great. It's
if you like Batman, don't let this happen to you.
If you like weeb shit and you want to laugh, let this happen to you. So you a weeb? No, I said got him. No, I said if you like weeb shit. If you like weeb shit. You said you liked it. I said I loved it. I love this movie. This is great. I laughed. I laughed my ass off.
This shit is a disaster. This is a beautiful
disaster.